Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird, and welcome back to Fare Thee Well. We're just gonna jump back into this game. We find a bench overlooking the hillside. I wipe the snow off it with the sleeve of my coat, and we sit down close to each other for warmth. Emmeline pulls herself even closer to me, tugging at my arm. She leans her head on my shoulder and shuts her eyes. You don't mind, do you? I'm so tired. I think I'll rest my eyes for a while until the sunrise starts. It's fine. I think I'll do the same thing. I close my eyes and rest my thoughts. It's been a wild night, and I'm so tired. Hey, Emmeline. Yeah? I'm going to tell you a story. It's a short story, but it's a complicated one. It's an important one. At the end of the story, you're going to have to decide what happens next. I want you to be completely honest with me when I ask you to do that. Alright? Emmeline yawns. Alright. Alright. I hope I'm making the right choice here. How do I even begin to explain? Say, in the world, there's a young man out there who's been given the gift of eternal youth. At first, that young man was amazed. He was filled with joy. He was forever young, forever handsome, and forever strong. The passage of time had no effect on him. It didn't chip away at him like it did everyone else he knew. He spent some time loving this new life of his, until he realized that the gift he'd been given was, in the end, a curse. Eventually, the young man saw what the passage of time could really do. He saw all of the people he cared about wither away one by one. Family, friends, lovers. He could have done nothing but watch as each and every one of them fell into the grip of death from which he had been spared. He saw the places he knew as a child crumble into dust, forgotten, thrown away like false memories. First he lost his home, then his people, then his own way of life. He was forced to escape, to break out and enter into a new world where he did not belong. He felt lost in that new world, hopeless, alone, forgotten. But eventually, he got used to it. He realized there wasn't any point in wallowing in despair at the life he's been given, and so he started to rebuild. He gave himself a new life, a new identity. But he lived knowing that there was one thing he could never do. He could never stay in one place for too long. If he did, he knew that he would build bonds. He would form memories with the new places he found and the new people he met. He would make friends. He would feel emotions all over again in all their full intensity. And that was something he could not afford, because he knew any bond he built would come only crashing down upon him in the end. The more people he came to know, the more people whose departures would hurt him. The more time he spent in any one place in the world, the more pain he was damning himself to suffer. He was truly cursed. All he could do was run farther and farther and farther, as far as he could go toward infinity. As long as time continued to pass, he suffered the life of a wanderer destined to be alone. But one night, he meets someone. And that someone makes him feel some way he had not felt since before his journey ever began. Someone special, someone like him, who understands him, who understood him, who felt his pain, who knew how it felt to endure. He thinks he's found someone that could teach him how to love again. But he knows if he stays there with that person he's found, he'll only hurt them in the end. Because if he stays with that person, he stays with that someone, they will age and he will not. They will die and he will not. And in his failure to die, he would rob them their chance at a normal life. He would take their life as his own, and in the end, he will find himself all alone again. What does he do then? What choice does he make? Does he stay or does he leave? Does he chase that chance, that true emotion, even if he knows He knows in the end it will cause only despair. Tell me, what choice does he make? What choice does he make, Emmeline? What choice do I make? Emmeline? I open my eyes. Ooh, what a pretty location. I see the sun has begun to rise. To my side, Emmeline is fast asleep. I take a long final look at her. She's so beautiful. Her heartbeat pulses through her skin, through her dress, through her coat, through all the way to me. I can feel it drum steadily against me. I can feel it throb over and over again, full of such amazing life. I watch her, her breath freezing as it comes out in the crisp, cold air. Her skin is soft and warm to the touch. I think of her and how she treated me, a stranger who hadn't even told her his name, with nothing but kindness. This is a real person beside me, with a real heart, pumping real blood. With real emotions and real thoughts, and the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. This is Emmeline, and no matter how greatly I long to be with her, I cannot stay with her, and she cannot stay with me. It was never meant to be. I stand up carefully, holding her still to make sure she doesn't wake up. Once I'm off the bench, I set her down to be as comfortable as I can make her. Thankfully, it's warming up, and I think she'll wake up soon after I leave. Just in case, I take off my coat and wrap it around her to make sure she's warm enough. Glance at the sunrise out on the horizon. I can't bear to look at it too long. I turn back to gaze at her one last time. The girl in the green dress sleeping on the park bench. If only things had been different, then perhaps I could be happy once more. I begin to walk away. I stop myself from looking back. Emmeline, I'm sorry. Goodbye. I walk away into the wilderness. I walk away into wilderness as the sun rises over the trees. I vanish like a ghost from a dream, wiping tears from my eyes. All I leave behind are footprints in the snow that are soon swept away by a winter wind. That's a little depressing. 1987. June 13th, 1987. Am I supposed to click? Okay, yes. June in Maine is still June. I should be accustomed to walking on baking asphalt by now. I travel light, always have. The weight I carry has nothing to do with what's in my pack. Heavy thoughts are always with me, my memories constant companions on the road. So many roads, so many paths, so many years. So many lives, it seems. It feels like forever since I was last in Canada. I wonder if it will still feel the same, raw and wild and seemingly untouched. Something tells me it will always have that feel, no matter how much concrete and glass are poured and polished. I think that memories can be that way too. As the years pass, the details subtly shift, but the feel seems to stay the same. Then again, we can choose to let certain memories fade, if those memories will allow it, of course. I am aware of my footfalls on the pavement, the undulating drone of the insects in the tall grass that parallels the road. I can feel the hot sun on my skin, a gentle harshness to the yellow light. The few clouds in the uniformly blue sky are static and wispy, as though painted onto a canvas. There is no breeze to add energy to my experience. The leaves of the trees are still like the clouds. I am literally passing through a long series of moments unbroken by emotion, except for me. If I am the only thing moving, does that mean that the world is a canvas and I am little more than a thought passing through? My mind soars across the tapestry of my experiences, touching down at an eerie area of memory. I don't know how to say that word. Then taking flight again in search of the next place of interest. But miles passed, the sounds and the sun and the grass and the trees blending into a nearly uniform background. It seems as though the only things truly moving are my thoughts. The sensation of that notion intrigues me, distracts me for a while. Until a new sound breaks the spell of forever. Time is suddenly back on the clock, and its ticking is the sound of a large diesel engine of an 18-wheeler. I am ripped out of my reverie in the beautiful monotony of the road, finding myself darkly present. The driver of a large red truck downshifts as he descends the slow grade, leveling off and closing the distance to me slowly. Black plumes puffing briefly from the twin stacks behind the cab. Well, what the hell? Maybe he'll take a rider for a while. I turn and begin to walk backwards and stick my thumb in the air. A few short seconds pass and the driver begins downshifting again, the engine braking, indicating to me that I am about to replace the drone of insects in the heat of the sun with the rhythm of an engine and the chill of air conditioning. The truck passes me slowly, coming to a halt just a few yards later, the hiss of the air brakes and the solid rattling thrum of the engine waiting for me. I walk up to the door as the window smoothly slides down, and I step on the running board with a hand on the mirror brace to render a greeting to who will be my traveling companion for God knows how long. Morning, sir. Where are you headed? I feel genuinely friendly as the two of us engage in that age-old mutual summing up that travelers have always done, leading to a gut instinct about trust. It takes mere seconds for us both to decide. Levis, just outside. I can't even read right. Levis, Levi's, just south of Quebec City, running straight through Maine. He has an accent straight out of the American northern Midwest. Looks to be about 50 years old. I cannot remember the last time I thought that was old. How about you? As far as you'll take me, if that's alright, sir. Hop in and let's put some miles behind us then, buddy. I swing the heavy door wide and slide in, then set my pack at my feet before closing the window and belting myself in. I never thought about 18-wheelers having a new car smell, but this one did. It was obviously new to the road and very well maintained. Wow, this truck is beautiful! The trucker laughs and then pats the large center console lovingly. She's not even 3 months old. We're still getting used to each other. The trucker is wearing a gray t-shirt and jeans and a ball cap with an American flag on the front. He has 2 faded green tattoos, one on each arm. His hair is cut a little on the short side and hasn't shaved in a couple of days by the looks of it. I drove my last truck for almost 20 years, but she decided that she'd run her last mile. Still feels a little weird driving without her. The way the trucker spoke about his truck felt instantly familiar, and I found myself nodding and understanding. This new one, though, I think she and I are going to be together for the rest of my time on the road. So, where do you call home? You're sitting in it. I've been living on the road and out of motels for years. Being gone so much was never a good fit for a home life, and besides, I have a bit of a wanderlust. I can relate. I bet you can, as far as you are from, well, anywhere. The trucker spoke well. He smoothly shifted gears, the powerful truck pulling its load effortlessly, the vibrations of the huge engine absorbed by surprisingly comfortable seats. The AC felt rejuvenating, too. Yeah, I've been traveling for most of my life. First in the army, then when I got home from the war, I just couldn't sit still. Been on the road ever since. I don't know why I'm giving him a southern accent, but I just am. I tend to stick around a place for a while myself, and then it just feels like it's time to go, I guess. Yep, I know what you mean. Buddy. Once I got home from the war, I never really felt like I fit in, no matter how much I wanted to. I didn't understand why, and I figured I'd find what I was looking for on the road. And did you? To be honest, I'm not sure, but I did find happiness, and that's what all the hippies were always talking about. So I guess at least I found something. I think there's a certain freedom to keeping moving. Plenty of time to think, that's for sure. I drive, and when I feel like resting, I'll stop. As long as I stay on schedule, nobody pays me much mind, and that's just fine with me. As the trucker shared a bit of his life with me, I watched the coiled cord for the CB radio set sway. Plenty of time to think. The trucker and I really do seem to have a lot in common. Sometimes I think that I've probably missed out on quite a bit of life, though, to be honest. I mean, I have family, and I keep up with them well enough. So I sort of let them live more normal lives for me, if that makes any sense at all. I think it makes a lot of sense. I have tried the normal life a few times, but I always end up back on the road in the end, waiting for the next stop. You ought to think about driving trucks. It seems like you're a good fit for it. Better than walking all the time, that's for sure. I've never considered it, to be honest, but I see your point. I'm not sure if the pace would feel quite right, though. Walking has such a familiar feel to it for me now. I'm not sure if I would like the change. Most people are creatures of habit, you can't deny that. In a way, being a drifter is a habit too. I can't disagree. Although for me it's as much a need as it is a habit. No matter how much I like a place, I just can't stay. Eventually it's time to go, whether I like it or not. Some of us just aren't meant to put down deep roots, buddy. The deeper the roots, the harder it is to tear yourself away when it's time to leave. Imagine you're right about that. Conversation falls off into a comfortable silence, the world outside passing by. My eyes move to the distance ahead, taking in the slow approach of forests and roadside meadows and following the gradual turns as the road makes its way northward. Looking out of the side window and focusing a little closer reveals how fast we really are going. The trees are more of a blur, the details outside more elusive and difficult to focus on. It's about perspective, really. Looking forward into the future, things seem further away, moving more slowly. You can take your time to consider it, to think about where you might be going. Looking around at where you are in the moment, that feels much more fleeting. The pace is quicker. It can be difficult to fully notice all the details before things change. The past, however, is always there, frozen in memory. You have the rest of your life to think about it, reflect upon it. In my case, there's plenty of time to think about the past. Too much time, actually. I wish that I had the luxury of living in the moments without the specter of the future always looming in the background, always knowing that no matter what, I always have to leave. People living their lives so often seem to be able to appreciate things in the moment so long as they slow down a bit, building memories at their natural pace. For them, there is a beginning and an end. The middle part is life. I would like to take my time for once. Many people say they feel rushed. I feel the opposite. An inexorable expiration of each period of normal. They have a finite amount of time, and can live normally within the time that they are given, whereas I is nothing but time struggle. Perspective. It affects the way we live. The passing of time, I think, does too. No matter what happens, I always end up gradually losing sync with everyone around me. Relationships, friends, co-workers. Every time I find a good place, a good thing, the clock starts ticking. The longer I stay, the louder the ticking. The more out of sync I become, and the deeper my roots could reach. Eventually, I must move on. I rip myself out of that life, tearing others in the doing, and leave that normalcy behind forever, as well as the emotional wreckage shared with people who will never understand why. I know deep down inside that it is best to avoid making any meaningful connections because I will have to move on, and I hate myself for making anyone share that pain. They don't deserve it. But once in a while, a connection just happens. I wish that I could just enjoy that simple human experience without the inevitability that shadows what should be something beautiful, something simple and warm. Always that damn shadow, always. I am lost in thought, traveling through time in my own head, and when an all too familiar name, a name that I have been desperately trying not to think about, demands that its presence be known. Emmeline. I speak it out loud, not realizing that the trucker might hear it over the sound of the engine. Emmeline, huh? Is she why you've been lost outside that window for the past hour? His half smile is simultaneously knowing and wry. I exhale an empty laugh. I wonder if he isn't right about that. The trucker lets the moment sit for a few seconds, then cocks an eyebrow. It's funny, as much as I love my old truck, I never gave her a name. Some truckers do, the sentimental ones anyway. I wonder why I never named her. At first I thought that he had dropped his interest in Emmeline's name and my contemplation, but as the trucker spoke, I realized that he wasn't delving into his fellow traveler's life. He was sharing the journey. I was closer to that old truck than I was with anyone. I do admit that I had plenty of conversations with her, though. All the time, actually. She was a pretty good listener, that's for sure. But it's funny. In the war, my buddies and I stopped using first names. We came up with nicknames, things like that. Seemed at the time that we were all just close, you know? But I wonder if maybe it was something else. Maybe it was a way for us to not to get too close, after all. Makes me wonder, you know? Think on that for a minute. That girl in the green dress captivated me. She unassumingly commanded my attention. There was something about her that just drew me in, captivated me. But when I learned her name, it became personal, intensely personal. We shared such a connection. And then I had to go. I had no choice. I cared too much for her to put her through what would have to come, what always has to come. I cared for her. It only took one night and a name. I think you may just be onto something there, sir. We both spent the next few hours in total silence, except for a brief stop for fuel, roadside coffee, and a bathroom break. Two travelers sharing a journey. It was a good day. The sun was beginning to show the age of the day. The trees were beginning to cast shadows over the road, and the road signs were beginning to reflect that golden sunlight so characteristic of long summer days. My voice is starting to hurt. Said her 30 miles. Damn it! I shifted in my seat and watched the sign as it approached with increasing speed, my eyes following it as it passed by. Sutter, Maine. Now that's one of those towns that you'll miss if you blink too long. It looked like you recognize it. I sigh and nod. You know, that coffee sure is running through me. I think we'll try not to blink when we get to Sutter so I can enjoy the last civilized bathroom for hours. Sutter, damn it. Takes no time at all to get there. Not enough time to think. Not enough time to talk myself out of the decision fighting to make its way to the surface of my mind. The truck comes to a gradual stop and a gravel pull-off. Heavy tires crunching, air brakes squealing, engine slowing to an idle, everything slowing down. The trucker sets the brake and cuts the engine off, shudders through the big vehicle, playing a little more than a brief stop. He lifts two-door latch and half opens the door, one foot reaching for the running board. I'll be a little bit, so feel free to stretch your legs. There is a hint of something in his voice, almost a knowing one, an almost annoying tone. This guy really is intuitive for having spent so much time alone on the road. Goes with this territory, I suppose. See you in a bit, buddy. There is the hint of a wide, crooked smile on the trucker's face. I am certain he knows that I am connected to Sutter, and that is because of Emmeline. Or maybe not. The trucker's boots grind into the gravel as he heads off, leaving me to choose which fork in the road to take. I woke up this morning expecting to walk all day, possibly more. Then the truck lumbered along, and for a while I rode with another traveler in my thoughts. It is interesting that despite the seeming randomness of today, I still wound up in Sutter. Exactly where my thoughts were leading me, apparently. To stay or go. While I considered what I should do, I shoulder my pack. I shut the heavy door of the big red engine as I recall the layout of the little town quietly waiting before me. Oh my god, I can't talk anymore. Oh, I've been recording for 24 minutes? Oh, no wonder why my throat's starting to hurt. Jesus Christ. I've been talking so much today, God. Okay, so today is Sunday, and I've recorded, this is the fourth video I've been pre-recording today, and oh my god, my voice is destroyed. Oh my god. Anyways, it should be better in the morning. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Furthy Well and would like to see more of this game, then leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!